He's going to be releasing his economic plan on Monday. Let's get to one of Donald Trump's top economic advisors, Steve Moore. Steve, let's get to the scaffolding in a minute, but what will be the foundation of his economic plan?
Well, I think there will be three, Liz, and great to be with you. Number one, he's going to talk a lot about his tax cut plan. And, you know, what a contrast between Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Hillary's talking about raising almost every tax you can conceive of, and Donald Trump's going to have one of the biggest tax cuts proposed since Ronald Reagan was in office. And one of the second legs, I think, will be energy policy. Again, stark contrast where Donald Trump wants to make America energy independent within the next 4 or 5 years using our amazing energy resources. And the third, there's going to be a big portion, I think, on regulation and how do you stop the strangulation of our businesses that are just being held down by regulation. And so I've been in a number of these meetings with Mr. Trump, with some of the business leaders of this country, the men and women who run our great companies, and it's so surprising how many say, you know, the taxes are really bad, but the regulations are really holding us back from investing and hiring workers.
I have to tell you, when you think about companies that have launched during the recession, because there are a bunch of them, Uber, Airbnb, props to them for getting through the myriad. It's the red tape. It's literally choking people. That may very well be the key. But when you look, at least what I've seen in the past of Donald Trump's plan, there's a lot of talking about spending. There is protecting Social Security, which I'm sure people would appreciate. But he also talks about ramping up military spending, building the wall, which he says Mexico would pay for, but you'd have to staff it here on our side. Sounds like bigger government to some people, not to mention the infrastructure plan that he said would be $500 billion. What do you say to that? Will all that stay in?
We're going to have major spending cuts and government reduction in terms of size. I mean, there are literally hundreds of programs, Liz, that could be completely eliminated. There's, you know, $100 billion of corporate welfare programs that should probably be eliminated. Mr. Trump has talked about this penny plan, where you take every government program and just reduce it by a penny each year for 3 or 4 years. You'd be surprised how much money that saves because of the compounding effect. But the real heart of the Trump plan, I think that you're going to see on Monday, that I think is the big growth stimulant, is this 15% business tax. Liz, you and I have talked a lot about this over the air over the last couple of years. You know, the United States has the highest business tax rate in the world. That just doesn't work anymore. You're seeing companies like Burger King and Johnson Controls and Medtronic and Walgreens say they want to leave or they are leaving the United States. Imagine this. If we go from the highest tax rate country in the world for businesses to the lowest, you know that's going to be a magnet for new jobs. And by the way, I left out an important point. We're going to apply that low rate not only to big businesses, but to every small business in America, even including the corner Korean grocery store or the small startup firm in Silicon Valley, because we think it's important to help. The small businesses are really the spinal cord of our economy.
Well, exactly. I was just going to say that many of his supporters are blue-collar or small business people who feel left out. So when they hear, oh, the big corporations who sometimes don't even pay any tax, you know, we're going to lower their rate. Maybe they don't need it as much as we do. You say that you're pairing it with that. But in the end, how will you pay for it beyond just finding fraud, waste, and abuse? That's an old clarion call.
There are going to be cuts, I guarantee you. We're going to, you know, Donald Trump knows how to cut costs. He's a businessman. In all the agencies of government, you know, we believe that every agency is wasting 15, 20 cents on the dollar. And you just see it in the Department of Education.
The military too, Stephen? Because he said he would spend more on the military.
Yeah, well, look, that doesn't mean we can't find waste in the military. I mean, just as Newt Gingrich would say, just because, you know, agencies are run by the military doesn't necessarily mean they're efficient. So there's big savings there. By the way, he wants NATO to pay more of the cost of their own defense. I'm all on board that. That's going to save a lot of money. But here's the most important thing, Liz, to remember for people to think about when they watch that speech on Monday. The sickness in our economy is 1% growth. No matter how much we cut spending, we're never going to get to a balanced budget with 1% growth. You just can't get from here to there. You need to put people back to work. We think with this economic plan, we can get from 1% growth to 4%. If you do that, you're raising $4 trillion over the next 10 years in terms of revenues. That's how you get to a balanced budget.
We'll see it on Monday. Stephen Moore, thank you. Here's when you know you must watch the Fox Business Network, when presidential candidates reference an interview on Fox Business. It just happened. Hear what Donald Trump said moments ago.